Last week, as you know, we saw the whole hullabaloo with the release and the return of the Jimmy Kimmel show, but now we are getting a clue in as to what the fallout to all of that has been, as both Nexstar and Sinclair have removed their preempting of the Jimmy Kimmel show, and the ratings cratered on Jimmy Kimmel. It went from 6.3 million viewers for their live show once it kicked back off after it was suspended by ABC. So it was getting about 6.3 million viewers that first night. That was with blackouts from Sinclair and from Nexstar. Sorry about that. And I want to read you the Sinclair message that they posted, and I think it's important because they address concerns for the show that I don't believe the mainstream media is being fair in their justification for. So here's what they said. This is from Baltimore, Maryland. It says, Sinclair today announced that it will end its preemption of Jimmy Kimmel Live, and the show will return to evenings on Sinclair's ABC affiliates. Now that went live on Friday, September 26th. Our objective throughout this process has been to ensure that programming remains accurate and engaging for the widest possible audience. We take seriously our responsibility as local broadcasters to provide programming that serves the interests of our communities while also honoring our obligations to air national network programming. Over the last week, we have received thoughtful feedback from viewers, advertisers, and community leaders representing a wide range of perspectives. We have also witnessed troubling acts of violence, including the despicable incident of a shooting of an ABC affiliate station in Sacramento. These events underscore why responsible broadcasting matters and why respectful dialogue between differing voices remains so important. In our ongoing and constructive discussions with ABC, Sinclair proposed measures to strengthen accountability, viewer feedback, and community dialogue, including a network-wide independent, I don't even know what this word means, ombudsman. Do you know what that means?
Ombudsman?
Yeah.
No.
Somebody in the chat can let me know what that word means. These proposals were suggested. It's OMBUDSMAN. These proposals were suggested as collaborative efforts between the ABC affiliates and the ABC network. While ABC and Disney have not yet adopted these measures and Sinclair respects their rights to make these decisions under our network affiliate agreements, we believe such measures could strengthen trust and accountability.
It is a government official who investigates and tries to resolve complaints.
So that sounds like a special master.
It sounds like a unicorn because I don't believe that the government ever tries to resolve complaints.
No, never.
The resolving complaints is usually something like go away or we'll call the cops.
Exactly.
We'll get the enforcement arm in here to make you go away.
So it says, our decision to preempt this program was independent of any government interaction or influence. Free speech provides broadcasters with the right to exercise judgment as the content on their local stations. While we understand that not everyone will agree with our decisions about programming, it is simply inconsistent to champion free speech while demanding that broadcasters air specific content. That's an interesting argument that kind of pushes back on everything they've been saying. As a company rooted in local stations, Sinclair remains committed to serving our communities with programming that reflects the priorities, earns their trust, and promotes constructive dialogue. We look forward to continuing to work with ABC to deliver content that serves a broad spectrum of our communities. So what's underlying in the rest of the mainstream media narrative around this, whether you talk about the CNN article about this or any of the other stations, is, first off, they're framing it as a return to the free market. They're saying that people's boycotts of ABC is what really got them to bring back the Jimmy Kimmel show. Well, completely and fundamentally ignoring the fact that they actually stated right there in the piece about the horrific acts of violence that were being perpetrated against affiliate stations, and not being willing to point out that while framing it as a victory for like some type of cultural return to normalcy for Jimmy Kimmel, they're touting the social media numbers and not the numbers beyond just that Tuesday spike.
Yeah, it was the terrorism.
Yeah, absolutely, 110%. So he spiked to 6.3 million viewers with the blackouts. By the very next day, he dropped to just 2.4 million viewers, which is a 60 to 70% drop.
Yeah, no one cared. It was a little bit of drama, and they're like, ooh, what happened? And the average person that doesn't really pay attention to
They were like, what's going
on? Yeah, they want to know what's going on, but they probably don't even realize that the reason he's back is because of the terrorism, because, you know, they gave in to terrorists.
I thought it was interesting because so CNN is going all in on this free market angle that they're using for it. It says in some of the cities where Kimmel, this is under a section called the power of consumers. In some of the cities where Kimmel was blacked out by Sinclair and Nexstar, activists pressured advertisers to stop buying airtime on ABC affiliates. Boycott lists circled on sites like Reddit. Alan Goldstein, who organized a campaign against Como, the Sinclair-owned, that's KOMO, the Sinclair-owned station in Seattle, wrote on Facebook that, quote, Sinclair is cozying up to the newly weaponized FCC by restricting free speech, obfuscating the truth, and promoting a fascist agenda. No, everybody knows that it was actually Jimmy Kimmel that was obfuscating the truth, because while they framed the whole thing as Trump not being able to take a joke, as you guys have heard ad nauseum, that he supposedly had said that he couldn't take a joke, what we really understand was the phrasing of Kimmel's words around the MAGA gang was a fundamental obfuscation of what he was actually trying to say. It was what I like to deem weasel words. And I think that people are sick to...
I like to deem them weasel words myself as well.
I think that people are sick to death of the concept of weasel words, as is kind of held out by the fact that the ratings are again plummeting. And I don't... Look, it's so funny because I looked up all the ratings. I couldn't find the ratings for Friday with Nexstar and Sinclair back on top. But it's so funny because you look through all of the charts for everything, and there's like sites called like Late Nighter, which documents all of the ratings for the late night networks and stuff like that. And you know who's on top every time, even with this rating spike, is Greg Gutfeld. Mm-hmm. Every single time. It's indicative of where the already older. Sorry, I don't want to use boomer as a as a pejorative here. It's where the already aging demographic of people that are watching those shows is they're going to Greg Gutfeld. They're going to watch it over there on Fox because those are the ones that want to watch that type of programming. Everybody else is going to social media to get their content, which of course makes sense given the fact that, as we know, guys, the social media clips are the ones that spike. Tim's pointed this out several times that, you know, when he has interviews with celebrities, when he does regular segments, they get 50 or 60,000 views, but when he goes and he talks about Donald Trump for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, he ends up getting millions of views, and that's kind of the psychosis that's going around in the media. What do you think, honestly, and this is a question I have for you, the audience, as well. Like, there is a date looming ahead, which is the date when Trump is no longer in office, and they don't have somebody to talk about again. Certainly, Trump will still probably be posting on Truth Social, and he'll have opinions on what's going on in the culture, but it won't carry the same weight that it did when he was president. Even in between terms, it was under their, quote, what they would deem the threat of him running again in 2024, which is funny because he ended up winning again. But there is a big date looming ahead for a lot of these networks. And I think this actually goes for people online as well. A lot of people have found that if you don't have strong opinions on a lot of things, it's very easy to fundamentally create a video and a narrative around something Donald Trump says, because judging, you know, based on whatever your, you know, the most tepid of your views are, you can frame a narrative around it and you can get tons of views based on just what Donald Trump thinks about stuff. I've already got stuff for tomorrow based on his quote about doing a 100% tariff on movies made outside the U.S. I don't even know how he would implement it, but it actually makes for interesting discussion. And when the next, when this election or when this presidency is over, what do? Who do they talk about? They can pretend like J.D. Vance is some type of satanic figure, but he's not going to garner the views that he does.
So he might not gain the number of views that Donald Trump does, but Donald Trump gets those views not just because he's in politics, but because he was a pop culture figure beforehand. But they're going to accuse J.D. Vance of the same things because it's what they accused Mitt Romney of. The most milquetoast Boy Scout Republican that the Republicans could possibly find. They put him in the running to be the president. He was the nominee. And when he was running against Barack Obama, they called him all of the same names that they called Donald Trump. They called him fascist. They called him a Nazi. They said he would, Joe Biden said that he's going to put you all back in chains. They were running all of the same ops because this is the method that the Democrats have found to be useful since at least the late 90s. They were calling, and to be honest with you, it goes further back, but I don't want to get into calling Democrats, I don't want to get into the whole, name calling of what I think Democrats actually are, but this actual method, these rhetorical tools, they are not new. They've been doing it for ages. It's a means to demonize your opposition and make them out to be the most frightening thing imaginable, because they literally picked the worst bad guy of the 20th century to align even the most milquetoast Mitt Romney of Republicans.
What's funny is like I just can't see Jimmy Kimmel, because you just picture what's going to go on in say it comes to pass, J.D. Vance runs for president, he wins, and then now what? Is Jimmy Kimmel going to be destined? Granted, he could get canceled in that time frame. Certainly, Stephen Colbert has already been canceled. Is he going to be doing monologues for 20 minutes about J.D. Vance? It's not going to not going to get the same views.
I agree with you. It won't get the same views because J.D. Vance wasn't a pop culture icon prior to this, so it won't get the same kind of views. And I don't even think that, I don't really believe that Jimmy Kimmel's going to be on the air.
Think he'll be gone by then?
In 5 years, I think that the world is going to be a whole different place. So he might be doing it when it's when people are running. He'll be calling them all little Hitlers and stuff like that. Whoever's in the running. But I don't see him lasting on the network for another 5 years, because I think that the entertainment landscape, including the late night entertainment genre, is going to be a totally different animal.
Yeah, certainly. And the first thing I thought was with the clips doing as well as they did, and they already dump so much money into streaming. I guess I see the point. Never mind. I'm kind of defeating my own argument. I was why don't they move him and make him a Hulu exclusive, or move him to just something for Disney Plus? But they can't do that because his numbers would crater even further. Because the meager numbers that he gets are because of the age demographic of people that watch him. He wouldn't survive on streaming the way that some of the younger, or even social media, the way that some of the younger figures do in the space. I'm trying to picture him doing an Amelia de Moldenberg chicken shop date type thing, but it's just not going to work for somebody like him because he can't monologue in that respect. But we'll have to wait and see. I do think that you're right. I think the landscape will look very, very different by that time period. But it's just funny because look, I tried to find, just put it this way, I tried to find the numbers for the Friday episode because I wanted to get the whole week Nielsen ratings for Jimmy Kimmel, and the first 3 pages of all search engines that I could find only gave me one story, and that was the amazing ratings of 6.4 million viewers upon his return from his brief stint in which he was, removed from air. They're doing their best to frame the narrative that he has exploded in popularity again. No, it was a mild spike because people were generally entertained or curious for one day. And then they have since moved on, and that's the way that it's going to stay.
That's the thing. It wasn't interest in his content. It was interest in this particular issue. Seeing, they were curious about what was going to happen and what he would say, and then once they found out, they were like, okay, this show still sucks.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media, and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.